Life is hard. See, it's hard when you're 49 years old, been working on a job for 17 years, and they come in and tell you you're finished and give you 1 week severance pay. And you got to start all over again. It's hard when you're married and raising children and your children are crawling and your husband dies unexpectedly. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard when you're working on something and you put everything you have in it and it doesn't work out. You lose your money and other people's money. It's hard. It was rough when I lost my job and I could not find a job. It was humiliating and embarrassing, borrowing money, and then I couldn't pay the money back when I told them I would. That's rough. How people look at you, how they respond to you. It's very hard. It's humiliating. Here's what I discovered that happens to you in life, that you will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it, you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson. Have it ever happened to you? Raise your hand. Has it ever happened to you that I couldn't understand it then, but after I got through it, then I saw that was preparing me for bigger and better things. As you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go. See, but when you go at what you're going to deal with and you deal with the difficulties of it, when you handle those hard things close at hand, making those hard decisions right now that you don't want to make, learning those things that you don't like to do, but you know that in order for you to get where you want to go, this is one of the hoops that you have to flip through. And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do it, because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender and say, okay, all right, I cooperate, okay, I learned, okay. They had to wear me out a long time. So if it's hard, then do it hard. Now, how do you hang in there during the hard, difficult times? Les, you must have faith. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas, unquestionably. You've got to have faith, and that faith gives you patience. That it's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to happen. A lot of things are going to happen that will catch you off guard. And so therefore you've got to deal with and handle it as it comes. And not only that, but that faith and patience drives you into action. You've got to keep moving and keep plugging away. In the Far East, they have something that's called the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. They have to water and fertilize the ground where it is every day. And it doesn't break through the ground until the 5th year. But once it breaks through the ground, within 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. Now the question is, does it grow 90 feet tall in 5 weeks or 5 years? The answer is obvious. It grows 90 feet tall in 5 years. Because at any time, had that person stopped watering and nurturing and fertilizing that dream, that bamboo tree would have died in the ground. And I can see people coming out talking to a guy out there watering and fertilizing the ground that's not showing anything. Hey, what you doing? You've been out here a long time, man. And the conversation in the neighborhood is, you growing a Chinese bamboo tree, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Well, even Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder can see ain't nothing showing. You know that's how people are going to do you? So how long have you been working on this? How long have you been working on your dreams? And you have nothing to show. This is all you got to show. People are going to do that to you. And some people, ladies and gentlemen, they stop because they don't see instant results. It doesn't happen quickly. They stop. Oh, no, 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 no. You got to keep on watering your dream. And when it began to happen, they stopped laughing. They said, look, whoa, look here. Look how, hey, man, you know, I know you can do it. Look here, you got a job here? See, during those hard times, we didn't know how you're going to make payroll. During those times when you failed and things didn't work out, they were nowhere to be found. But you know what I discovered? When you're working at your dream, somebody said the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Oh, it's sweet to you. It's good to you. Why? See, when it's hard and there's a struggle, see, what you become in the process is more important than the dream. That's far more important. The kind of person you become, the character that you build, the courage that you develop, the faith that you're manifesting. Oh, it's something that you get up in the morning, you look yourself in the mirror, you're a different kind of person. You walk with a different kind of spirit. People know that you know what life is, that you have embraced life. You knew it was hard, but you did it hard.
If you are comfortable today with what you were comfortable with yesterday, you're already in trouble. Nobody ever went uphill by accident. You have to be intentional with what you do and who you are. The more valid reasons you have to accomplish a dream, the higher the odds are that you will. The first question is your dream really your dream? And that's where we start, Ed. Because can I tell you something? If your dream isn't really your dream, ain't going to work. Yeah. So what I tell people all the time is we start off our life living someone else's dream, probably our parents. So what happens to a lot of people as adults, they never switch.
So true.
And so they're still living someone else's dream. They're putting on someone else's armor, and they just aren't going to achieve because it's not who they are. It's not their dream. So I think a lot of times we have clarity on where we should go, but there's a lot of emotion that holds us back.
Sure.
So what I did, and I think this is what will be really, hopefully this will be helpful to you. Whenever you're making a transition that's kind of out of your strength zone, or certainly brand new like this was, I ask a lot of questions and I listened. And so I just sit down with people like you that are highly successful in business, and I say, okay, let me ask you some questions. And I'd go and I'd ask you questions I learned from you, and I'd take a lot of notes, and I'd pull away and say, okay, now this is how Ed did it, and this is what Ed thinks, and oh, I think I could apply this there. And I spent 3 years humbling myself and being very teachable and saying, I just want to learn, I just want to learn. Because I knew that I had the leadership principles, but principles that are good without application or connection are principles that aren't going to work for anybody. I'm responsible, Ed, to move on what I see today. There's a whole bunch of people, they're wanting to hold and not move because they don't see 3 days, 5 days, 2 years out, whatever. And what I'm saying is, it's kind of like the lights of a car. If I go to the parking lot at night, turn on the lights and say, oh my gosh, I can't go anywhere, I don't see my house. Well, no. Get in the car and start moving in the direction you're supposed to move in. And guess what? You only get about 300 feet of light.
Right.
You don't get you don't get 7 miles of light. You don't get to see your house. You got to utilize the light you got so that you can get to where you want to go. And so many people they're uncomfortable with that light because it's not long enough. And what's around the corner? And the whole issue is you don't know what's around the corner until you go around the corner.
Oh gosh, that's so good.
And so you just so you have to be very comfortable, which I am. You have to be very comfortable with traveling, not having all the answers.
So true.
But can I tell you something? The only way you get all the answers is to go all the way through.
Absolutely.
You don't get all the answers on this side. And so if I've got to have it lined up and straight and right, and I feel comfortable with it, then I'll never be the leader. And I really believe this, Ed. I believe a lot of leaders fall short because they're unwilling to take what they know now and act on it. And so therefore, they never get to know what they could know. no matter how gifted you are, no matter how committed you are, if you're out of position, you're not going to be successful. That's why everybody needs to find their sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know, what do I really do well?
Yes.
And on that, there's a point that I really want to make, and that is, I tell people, if you want to be highly successful, you've got to get into what I call the top 5%.
Okay.
So you got 100 people. You got 100 people here in whatever chosen profession you've got. You've got to be in the top 5.
Yes.
You got to get there, and you can only get to the top 5 if you're in your sweet spot. You can't get to the top 5 working on weaknesses. You can't get to the top 5 if I'm not in the area of my giftedness. So you got to find out what you're good at, because that'll give you, if you're committed and if you got good strategy and all this other, you got a good team around you, then that'll allow you to get in that top 5. And once you're in that top 5%, you're in good shape. You're going to do very well. And I tell, it doesn't matter what your profession is, you've got to get in the top 5%, and you can only get in the top 5% if you're in your position, if you're in your sweet spot.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to me about just transforming my life? What would be the step you would take, the thought I should have, the action maybe I should take?
If you really want to be transformed, you have to live an intentional life. This is so simple, I don't want you to miss it. Most people don't lead their life, they accept their life. And when you accept your life, you are living on things that are not worthy of your time and effort and energy. The reason I want you to understand that is, to go uphill, you have to be intentional. Nobody ever went uphill by accident. You've never read a book on accidental achievements. You have to be intentional with what you do and who you are. And so I would just say to you, find your strengths, become very intentional, and commit your life every day to it's all uphill. It's all uphill. And listen, Ed's very successful. He's got great businesses, he's made a lot of money. Can I tell you something? It's still uphill for him. See, the great mistake we make is we think, I'm going to go out and make enough money, and there's a day when I can relax and I can rest and everything's going to be easy. Can I tell you something? The day that you have that day, one of your children, gets in an accident, problems will never ever leave you. Issues, obstacles, difficulties, they're always going to surround you. So you never get to that place where you've got it made. You're not supposed to got it made. You're supposed to add value to people, and it's all uphill.
Oh my gosh.
So the moment I understand that, then what happens is I commit myself to it, and then it becomes a beautiful uphill climbing life. Because one thing that's beautiful about going uphill is the scenery is really good. So you got to be intentional with it. So that's what I would say to them. Be intentional. Start today. And here's here's the difference. Good intentions are overrated. Gosh. I know so many people, well, I'm going to do that. Yes, I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. Good intentions are it's the most overrated phrase in the world. You've got to go from good intentions to good actions. Nothing happens until you've got good actions, and you won't have good actions until you're intentional with your life.